Successful people love to share their stories. They write books, give speeches, post on social media. They talk about their morning routines, their favorite books, their productivity hacks. But here's what they don't tell you: the real secrets. The uncomfortable truths that actually created their success, not because they're malicious, but because these truths don't fit the narrative. They're not inspirational enough for a TED Talk. They're not marketable enough for a bestseller. And frankly, they don't want more competition. The public story is polished. The private reality is raw. The public story is about passion and persistence. The private reality is about calculation and ruthlessness. The public story makes success seem accessible to anyone willing to work hard. The private reality reveals that success requires trade-offs most people aren't willing to make. This is not cynicism. This is clarity. And if you want to join the ranks of the truly successful, you need to understand what they're not saying. Because the gap between the public narrative and the private truth is where most people get stuck. Let's pull back the curtain. Part 1. They protect their time. Like it's sacred. Successful people talk about time management. They share their calendars, their scheduling apps, their time-blocking techniques. But they don't tell you the part that matters most. They're ruthless about saying no. They don't say no politely. They don't apologize. They don't feel guilty. They understand that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. And they've trained themselves to protect their time with the ferocity most people reserve for protecting their possessions. Here's what this looks like in practice. They decline meetings that don't serve their goals. They ignore requests that don't align with their priorities. They disappear when they need to focus, and they don't explain themselves. Most people are terrified of this. They worry about seeming rude, burning bridges, or missing opportunities. So they say yes to everything and end up overwhelmed, distracted, and ineffective. Successful people understand that their time is their most valuable resource, more valuable than money, connections, or credentials. Because time, unlike everything else, can't be recovered once it's spent. They also understand that most people waste their time on low-value activities, pointless meetings, shallow networking, consuming content instead of creating it. And they've made the deliberate choice to opt out of this game entirely. This doesn't mean they're antisocial or selfish. It means they've accepted that they can't be everything to everyone, that trying to please everyone is a recipe for mediocrity, and that their highest contribution comes from focusing intensely on what they do best. If you want their level of success, you need their level of ruthlessness about time. Part 2. They're obsessed with leverage. Successful people don't work harder than everyone else. They work smarter. Specifically, they're obsessed with leverage, doing more with less, multiplying their impact, and extracting maximum value from every action. But they don't advertise this, because leverage often looks like laziness to people who don't understand it. Here's what leverage looks like. They automate repetitive tasks. They delegate everything that doesn't require their unique skills. They build systems that work without their constant involvement. They invest in tools, people, and processes that multiply their output. Most people grind. They trade time for results. They do everything themselves because they think it's faster or because they don't trust others. And they hit a ceiling because there are only so many hours in a day. Successful people escape this trap. They ask, how can I get this result without doing the work myself? How can I turn 1 hour of effort into 10 hours of impact? How can I make this scalable? This mindset shift is fundamental because effort without leverage is just exhausting. Effort with leverage is exponential. They also understand strategic laziness, the art of avoiding unnecessary work. They don't optimize everything. They focus on the 20% that drives 80% of results and ignore the rest. They're comfortable with good enough in areas that don't matter, so they can pursue excellence in areas that do. Most people do the opposite. They obsess over trivial details while neglecting high-impact actions. They confuse busyness with productivity. and they wonder why they're working so hard with so little to show for it. Part 3. They've mastered the art of strategic relationships. Successful people talk about the importance of relationships. They emphasize kindness, generosity, and adding value. But they don't tell you that their relationships are strategic. They don't waste time on relationships that don't serve their goals. They don't maintain friendships out of obligation. They don't network aimlessly, hoping something will come of it. Instead, they're intentional. They identify the people who can help them reach their goals, mentors, collaborators, connectors, customers, and they invest in those relationships deliberately. This doesn't mean they're fake or manipulative. It means they're selective. They understand that their social energy is finite and that the quality of their relationships determines the quality of their opportunities. Here's what they do. They give first, but they give strategically. They help people who are positioned to help them back. They build reciprocity with people who have resources, influence, or expertise they need. And they're comfortable letting superficial relationships fade. Most people approach relationships reactively. They stay connected to everyone from their past. They maintain friendships that no longer serve them. They spread their energy across dozens of weak connections instead of cultivating a few strong ones. Successful people build power networks, small, dense clusters of high-value relationships where everyone benefits. And they're not afraid to prune relationships that drain more than they contribute. This is uncomfortable to admit. It sounds cold. But the truth is, successful people understand that their network is their net worth, and they treat it accordingly. Part 4. They accept that sacrifice is non-negotiable. Successful people love to talk about balance, work-life balance, health and wellness, spending time with family. But this is often branding, not reality. The truth is that extraordinary success requires extraordinary sacrifice, and most successful people have accepted trade-offs that would make most people uncomfortable. They've missed family events for work. They've sacrificed hobbies, friendships, and leisure. They've endured years of imbalance in pursuit of a long-term vision, and they don't regret it because they knew what they were signing up for. This doesn't mean they neglect everything else. It means they've made deliberate choices about what matters most during specific seasons of their life, and they've chosen ambition over comfort. Most people want success without sacrifice. They want the results without the cost. They want to build a business while maintaining their social life, hobbies, and Netflix habit. And when they realize that's not possible, they either quit or settle for mediocrity. Successful people don't lie to themselves. They accept that you can't have everything at once, that seasons of intensity are required, that building something meaningful demands more than spare time and leftover energy. They also understand delayed gratification at a level most people never reach. They're willing to endure years of invisibility, struggle, and grinding because they trust that the compound payoff is worth it. This is the part they don't advertise because it doesn't sell. People don't want to hear that success is hard. They want to believe there's a shortcut, a hack, a way to win without suffering. But there isn't. Part 5. They think in decades, not days. Successful people set goals. They talk about vision boards and annual plans, but privately, they're playing a much longer game. They think in decades. They make decisions today based on where they want to be in 10 or 20 years. And they're willing to endure short-term pain for long-term dominance. This long-term orientation fundamentally changes how they operate. It makes them patient. It makes them willing to invest in things that won't pay off for years. It makes them comfortable with slow, invisible progress. Most people think in weeks or months. They want immediate feedback, fast results, quick wins. And when they don't see progress right away, they pivot, quit, or assume they're on the wrong path. Successful people understand that meaningful success takes time, that the first few years are about building foundation, not celebrating milestones. That compounding only works if you stay in the game long enough for it to kick in. They also think probabilistically. They don't need certainty. They don't need guarantees. They make high conviction bets based on asymmetric risk-reward. They're comfortable with failure as long as one big win covers 10 small losses. This mindset allows them to take risks most people avoid, to invest in opportunities that seem speculative, to double down when others pull back, because they're not optimizing for this quarter. They're optimizing for the next decade. Part 6, they've built emotional calluses. Successful people talk about resilience and grit, but they don't talk about how they developed it by repeatedly exposing themselves to discomfort, rejection, and failure until it stopped hurting. They've built emotional calluses, thick skin, the ability to absorb criticism, setbacks, and humiliation without breaking. This didn't happen by accident. It happened through deliberate exposure. They put themselves in situations that scared them. They faced rejection over and over. They launched things publicly and endured the judgment. And over time, they became immune to the emotional turbulence that paralyzes most people. Most people avoid discomfort. They protect themselves from criticism. They stay in environments where they feel safe and validated. And as a result, their emotional resilience remains fragile. Successful people do the opposite. They seek out challenges that test them. They welcome feedback, even when it stings. They treat failure as training, not tragedy. And because they've been through the fire so many times, they're no longer afraid of it. They can take risks without being paralyzed by fear. They can fail without spiraling into self-doubt. They can be criticized without questioning their worth. This emotional armor is one of their greatest advantages, and it's built through repetition, not inspiration. Part 7. They're comfortable being misunderstood. Successful people care about their reputation, but they don't need everyone to like them. In fact, they've accepted that most people won't understand them, won't agree with their choices, won't support their vision, and they're completely fine with that. This is liberating, because once you stop needing approval, you stop making decisions based on other people's opinions. You stop diluting your vision to make it palatable. You stop playing small to avoid criticism. Most people are trapped by the need for validation. They want their family to approve, their friends to understand, their peers to respect them, and this need controls their choices. Successful people have severed this dependency. They've accepted that the path to extraordinary outcomes requires doing things that look irrational to ordinary people, and they're willing to be misunderstood for years until their results speak for themselves. They also understand that haters are a signal. If everyone agrees with you, you're not thinking big enough. If no one criticizes you, you're not doing anything interesting. And if you're not polarizing, you're probably forgettable. So they embrace the discomfort of being misunderstood. They ignore the noise. They stay focused on their mission. And they trust that time will vindicate their choices. Part 8. They're financially ruthless. Successful people talk about money as a tool, not a goal. They emphasize purpose over profit, but privately, they're obsessed with financial optimization. They track every dollar. They negotiate aggressively. They minimize expenses. They invest strategically. And they're ruthless about cutting costs that don't generate value. Most people are sloppy with money. They spend on things that don't matter. They avoid uncomfortable financial conversations. They leave money on the table out of politeness or ignorance. Successful people do the opposite. They're willing to have awkward conversations about compensation. They push back on bad deals. They walk away from opportunities that don't make financial sense, even if they're emotionally appealing. They also understand the difference between looking rich and being rich. They don't care about status symbols. They care about building wealth. And they're willing to live below their means for years to create financial leverage. This financial discipline creates options. It allows them to take risks, to invest in opportunities, to weather downturns, to say no to work they don't want. Most people trade their freedom for comfort. Successful people trade comfort for freedom, and money is the tool that buys it. Part 9. They've accepted loneliness as the price. This is the part no one talks about. Success is lonely. The higher you climb, the fewer people understand your challenges. The more you achieve, the harder it is to find peers who relate. The bigger your vision, the more isolated you become. Successful people have accepted this. They've made peace with the fact that the path to the top is walked mostly alone. That most people won't get it. That even close friends and family may not fully understand. This loneliness is not just emotional, it's strategic. They've had to distance themselves from people who don't share their ambition, who don't respect their focus, who drain their energy with drama, negativity, or mediocrity. And while they may present a polished, connected image publicly, privately, they've learned to be comfortable with solitude. They've learned to trust their own judgment, to validate themselves, to find meaning in the work itself, not in external approval. Most people can't handle this. They need constant social feedback. They need to feel included. They need their choices affirmed by others. Successful people have outgrown this need. And it's one of the reasons they can move faster, take bigger risks, and make decisions that others find incomprehensible. Part 10. They know the game is rigged, and they play anyway. Here's the final truth. Successful people won't tell you. They know the game is rigged. They know that some people start with advantages, money, connections, credentials that others don't have. They know that luck plays a role, that timing matters, that success is not purely meritocratic, but they don't use this as an excuse. They play anyway, because they understand that complaining about unfairness is a waste of energy, that resentment is a luxury they can't afford, that the only way forward is to maximize their advantages, minimize their weaknesses, and outwork the obstacles. They also know how to bend the rules, not illegally but creatively. They find loopholes, they exploit inefficiencies. They play the game better than people who blindly follow the official script. Most people see the rigged system and give up, or they play fair and wonder why they keep losing. Successful people study the system, understand its flaws, and use that knowledge to their advantage. They're not more ethical, they're more strategic, and they've accepted that winning requires playing a different game than the one most people think they're in. Conclusion: the real secret. The real secret successful people won't tell you is this. Success is not about passion, purpose, or positive thinking. It's about ruthless prioritization, strategic relationships, and uncompromising focus. It's about protecting your time like your life depends on it. Building leverage so your effort compounds. Making sacrifices most people won't. Thinking in decades while others obsess over days. It's about developing emotional calluses so you can endure what others can't. Being comfortable with misunderstanding and loneliness. Optimizing every financial decision. And playing the game with your eyes open, fully aware that it's rigged but refusing to let that stop you. None of this is marketable. None of this fits the inspirational narrative. But all of it is true. And now you know. The question is, will you act on it?